All right. My name's Mookie, or Mark, if you prefer, from 88.5, the SoCal Sound here in Southern California. Please know if you want to keep the content going on and off the air, we are listener-supported public radio for Los Angeles and Orange County. Sign up and join the mission. You could become a subscribing member at thesocalsound.org. And we're here on another Zoom, and we got Jenny Lewis today. First of all, Jenny, we did this a lot during the pandemic with like Zoom interviews, and it was really cool to see how musicians sort of live. There was one time there was a guy sitting on his front porch, did a Charlie Crockett interview where he was literally standing in the middle of nowhere, somewhere out in the New Mexico desert. Where are you right now?
I'm in a beautiful Studio City.
Oh, right on. For whatever reason, I thought you relocated and left our beloved Southern California for Nashville. Is that not the case?
I actually live in both places. I'm fortunate to be able to bounce between Stud City and East Nashville. But we were just talking before we started recording that we're both from the San Fernando Valley. So at heart, I'm a Valley girl.
I love that so much. Last time we saw you, I looked it up online. It was about 4 years ago. I don't expect you to remember, but you came in, you played our piano in our studio. You brought a cellist, and I wasn't there at the radio station that day. But that was just a really great sort of memorable session that lives on the internet forever. If people want to do enough digging, they could find that Jenny Lewis session on our YouTube page or whatever. And then during the pandemic, I don't know what you were doing with like Steve Lukather from Toto and Ringo Starr, but there was a picture and Ringo was wearing our radio station mask. Were you putting together the last record in studio, or do you recall taking that photo at all?
Oh, yes. I recall not only doing the session on the piano with the cellist, although I do smoke a lot of weed. I remember
I do
that.
remember that.
Yes. And Ringo, I sang on one of his songs that Diane Warren wrote and got to go over to his spot, which was incredible. And this was like, we were all masked up and hanging out outside and we were kind of chatting about being home and grounded, and I was like, man, I just feel like this is the first time I've had a break since I was a kid, and
Hmm.
I just feel so relieved to be off the hook. And Ringo said, I wish I was on the hook.
Ringo's an all-time great. He's a big supporter, I think, of public radio across the board, but an even bigger supporter of our radio station. So Ringo's always sort of, been considered like part of our family.
Oh, he is the best. And Lukather as well, just like wow. And they're so chill. Like it's so easy to hang with those guys.
It's amazing. You've made some amazing friends over the years. I mean, we're talking about like Harry Styles, Ben Gibbard. You're hitting the road playing a bunch of shows with Beck. And I know you've maybe worked with him perhaps a little bit in the past. But we just got some new music from Jenny Lewis. I believe our morning show played the song Psychos already this morning. And as we sort of tape this interview, the brand new song just dropped today. You've kind of been there, done that as a songwriter and producer and musician. Do you still get the same feels when you release a brand new record?
Oh yeah, it's so fun to put stuff out into the world after incubating because the process from an idea, writing the song, recording it, the album art, it takes a long time.
Mm,
But I think now I am whatever the reaction is less important to me than the making of the project. So I think my expectations are thoroughly managed now, where
mhm.
it's really about the getting there. It's about the process, not the getting there.
Right. The
So it's
journey,
all
not the
just,
destination.
yeah, for reals. Because this is just the story of my life, and one record leads to the next. Like these songs just like pick up where On the Line left off.
Amazing. And it had been said that some of these songs on the new album, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, Joy All,
You got it.
It was sort of put together before the pandemic started.
I had a handful of songs that I was working out on the road as I do at Soundcheck. I'm always writing. And then once stuff went on lockdown, I just kind of like didn't want to deal with that stuff. And then I was invited to participate in a songwriters workshop that Beck uh, was a part of. And we were given assignments for a week, songwriting assignments, and then we submit to the group. So I wrote a bunch of the songs in that workshop as well.
Amazing. Is that where you collaborate with other people you haven't necessarily worked with before, or were you just given some sort of direction or outline and tried to put songs together?
Yeah, just guidelines, like write a song with 1 4 5 as the changes,
Mhm.
or write a song with all cliches.
Now, what song might that have been? I'm curious. Is that song on the new album?
Well, the first song was a free form assignment, and I wrote Puppy in a Truck.
Okay.
So that was the first one that I submitted to the group. And a friend of mine who was also part of it, he was like, yeah, after I heard that song, I dipped. I left the group. I was like, what? But the song of cliches is on the record, and it's called Love Feel. So when you get a
Interesting.
chance to listen to the record, you can kind of hear it with that in mind.
Amazing. I've heard some songs from the new record, and I was just telling someone who played them for me. There never been a Jenny Lewis song that we didn't like. And it's true. And it really does continue. Even during the pandemic, you collaborated with some hip hop musician, a rap artist out of Chicago, and we played a couple of those songs on the radio, which is, I mean, it's Jenny Lewis stuff. So we're all about it, frankly. Again,
Thank you
Jenny,
for that. Thank you. And
uh,
that's my friend Serengeti, and he's one of the greats. And we sent stuff back and forth during the pandemic, and yeah, those tracks are great. I love them.
kind of like a postal service situation. I don't know if it's just urban myth, but I think that's what Ben Gibbard was doing back in the day, sending tracks via snail mail or whatever they were doing. Um, uh, there's always been sort of an Americana element to what you do. You know, we don't want to pigeonhole any particular musician into any, genre. But do you have an affinity for other sort of genres or styles of music?
I grew up listening to jazz and hip hop, and I really wanted to be a rapper when I was like 12. I was like writing verses, and and then I kind of realized when I got my first acoustic guitar at 16 that you could just take your rap verses and kind of put them over
Hmm.
guitar music. So I think that is folk music,
It's
basically.
poetry.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah,
whatever gets the poetry out there.
right.
If it's a guitar, a piano, a beat, whatever it is, it's all about the story in the song.
I do have an affinity for 90s R&B and hip hop, and it's crazy. Some people look at me and just sort of are wondering because I'm over here programming sort of a AAA format non-commercial radio station. But man, again, in my formative years, I was listening to Snoop and West Side Connection and SWV and Jeanne and all of that stuff. And that to this day, that's still sort of my comfort zone. When I'm home, I slip into maybe like a 90s R&B playlist, and I let it wash over me, if you will. The pandemic was hard for a lot of people. Somehow you linked up with Harry Styles. Maybe an unlikely collaboration. I don't know. But how did you link up with him in the first place? And what was the feeling like to be able to finally get up on stage and perform in front of people after the longest time?
It was wild. I did solo quarantine. So I was alone in my house for a year and 8 months before going out on my first arena tour with Harry. Uh, so I hadn't even been in a restaurant or a bar. I hadn't seen any live music. So it was a bit of a shock. but so amazing to play for his audience. They are so loving, and just that moment where no one had been to a show.
Hmm.
So it was just
Yeah.
magic. And there was no press allowed. It was like we were totally in our respective bubbles. So in a way, it felt like a DIY indie tour, although we were in arenas, because there was no distraction. It was just like the music and my band, my crew, and we just like had an amazing hang for almost 3 months.
That's
It was wild.
incredible. Yeah, what a great opportunity to open up for Harry Styles. That's crazy. You're doing another arena show in SoCal. That'll be I think August 7th at the Forum with Beck and Phoenix, which is amazing. Also some dates with Death Cab.
Well, the Postal Service Death Cab tour,
Hmm.
that where Death Cab is playing Transatlanticism, and then we're playing Give Up. So that is also happening in the fall. And yeah, I'm excited to go back to the Forum, which as a kid, I went to see a bunch of Lakers games
Sure.
at the Forum. So I have so many amazing that is like that's one of my favorite venues in LA. It's just magic.
Still, huh?
Oh yeah. I mean, what a spot. And the cemetery across the street
Mm.
is one of the coolest places to walk around. Like the most amazing artists are buried across the street from the Forum in
I had no
Inglewood.
idea, really.
Oh yeah, it's incredible.
There was a show there a few years back, and I was able to go into the Forum Club for the first time. I didn't know what to expect, but I knew that in the 1980s, it was like Jack Nicholson and like all of these amazing A-listers from Hollywood coming in to hang out at the Forum Club. And I'm over here sort of pinching myself. And there's not a whole lot to it, but to be able to be there was really amazing. And again, I have great memories of seeing the Lakers there back in the day. Man, we were spoiled there, especially in I think the late 80s with our Southern California sports. Everybody was winning at the time. The new record, I believe, produced by Dave Cobb, who's worked with so many others, and a lot of people have some really great things to say about him. I should mention again, we're talking to Jenny Lewis. JennyLewis.com is the website. You could pre-order the record. There's even a cassette tape available. Do you have a cassette player?
I do actually, in my kitchen, and it's the same cassette player that I had when I was a kid growing up in Van Nuys. And I did my first recordings on it because it's got a little record button.
Uh-huh.
So I have the same tape player, and that's how I prefer to listen to music. Like when I'm cooking, just like I
No
love
way.
listening a side at a time. Yeah.
That was my next question, is like, how do you consume music? Is it vinyl? Are you streaming? But you're all in with the cassette tapes, huh? It's amazing.
The tapes, and then I do everything else on my phone. I don't even own a computer.
Oh,
So I demo all my songs on my phone. I do like little movie editing on my phone, and listen to so many audiobooks, which if you listen to an audiobook, can you later say, oh yeah, I read that book?
oh no. That's a great question. We're over here binge watching Daisy Jones and the Six, and my wife had read the original novel. So she's super invested in it. But yeah, the TV show has actually changed up a little bit. It's a little bit different from the book, but that's actually a really good question. Um, we're really excited to see you back in Southern California. And are you still blessing Modelo's, by the way?
Oh yeah, if you have one handy, I'd be happy to bless it for you.
I got a cold brew coffee. Is that
All right, all right. We'll bless that. Bless.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So just so you know, I'm not sponsored by Modelo. Not even one free beer or
No.
like a Modelo sign for the bar. But it's not about the Modelo. It's about the Modelo is the path to blessing beverages.
It's ridiculous.
It's so dumb.
I saw that on the internet. You were pretty active there on like Instagram or whatever for a period of time, and people were tweeting at you and stuff and wanting you to bless their Modelos, and I got a kick out of it. And I'm kicking myself for not chiming in and like tagging you on social media at that time. I did want to ask you, well, there's a lot going on right now. Psychos was just released, a brand new single off the new record, Joy All. The new record's coming out on June 9th. And the music video for Puppy in a Truck just got released as well. And I feel like we had been living with that song forever. But the music video is finally out. I did want to ask you, who is this Bobby Rich character that I keep reading about?
Oh, Bobby Rich is Mama Hot Dog, and she shot my album cover.
Okay.
So she's this amazing person who lives in the desert. And so there's Bobby Rich, and then there's Bobby Rhubarb, my dog. So we got
Oh,
two Bobbies going on here.
and that's the aforementioned puppy, I imagine.
Yes.
When you have said previously that you wasted your youth on a puppy, is that a metaphor? Is that an actual puppy or is that a person?
The line is actually Poppy.
No. Mind blown.
So yeah, we'll leave that there.
All right.
Mic drop.
Fair enough. Well, listen, thank you so much for spending the time. We're always here to support your music. And again, it's an open door policy for you whenever you want to stop by and hang out or do a thing. If you're in Southern California and not Nashville, again, an open invitation for you. It's really a pleasure to see you. I've seen you a couple of times over the years, House of Blues, San Diego. Can't remember where else, but we are just such big fans.
Go
And
Padres.
Fair enough.
Go Padres.
Fair enough.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I love the station, and so does Ringo, which is amazing. And
apparently Ringo likes Spoon and like Mitski and Biba Doobie. So that's cool.
Yeah, he's cool. And I'm often cruising the Deep Valley in search of treasures, swap meets, thrift stores. So, I'll pop by sometime.
Incredible. Thank you. This has been Jenny Lewis on 88.5 The SoCal Sound.